Hey guys, how's everybody doing? I haven't talked to you guys in a while. I have to admit that I've been slacking my duties as a host. So let me get the camera repositioned. It's good to see you again. And we'll talk about this guitar right here, and I'll show you what we got going on and some of our upcoming projects, okay? So just hang on just 1 second. You shut the door good before the mosquitoes get in, man. Mosquitoes are rough around here. Woo! So, you guys remember this guitar, the G style. Okay, we are, now we're real close to getting this one done, and I was just about there, and you know, I show you my successes on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. I don't do much Twitter. Twitter's a tough one for me, but I show you my successes, and I don't have all successes. I have issues and mistakes. I make mistakes and I do things that, you know, that everyone who builds anything or has created anything knows. Sometimes things go wrong. And I got right down to the end. This was all wet sanded and was in the buffing stages. As a matter of fact, it had been buffed. And I just happened to look down and notice that I had burned through the finish in a little space right back here on the back of the guitar because of these edges right here. These are the worst. You see those little sharp edges? They don't look like they're sharp, but you know, they're sharper than a round over. And you know, it's the design of the guitar and it gives it that clean, crisp look from the bevels. But it's very easy to sand too much right there because that little bevel, that little edge right there doesn't hold a whole lot of finish. And so somewhere down the road, I had buffed through it or sanded through it and just hadn't noticed it until then. I also was having a couple little issues on the headstock where after I applied the Fleetwood to the headstock, I started having a few issues for some reason with some little tiny little micro bubble looking things going on around here. Don't know what it is. I contaminated the headstock with something, maybe some polishing compound or something. And so that didn't look right. And so I sanded that back down and that's ready to be buffed. But now today, I'm gonna work on this edge right here and try to get it right. I had to add a little color. Hopefully I didn't add too much. We're gonna find out right now. So I'm gonna take all this tape off, you know, where I've got it masked off, and we'll see where we're at. And I can get you a little closer so you can see. Let me get all the tape off first. I've been using this low tack tape is what it's called for sign makers. StewMac sells it. And man, it works really good for working on your guitars. You know, putting some protective mat around your hardware and your pickups and things when you're trying to work on your guitar. When you're putting on strings on a brand new guitar, you know, trying to get up through the bridge. You don't want to put that little tiny scratch in there because it's a brand new guitar. And this stuff has worked great. And it also works great for this, for just a real quick, keep the overspray off of an area you're trying to touch up. If you're trying to do a touch-up on a guitar, you're only trying to finish a little spot. You don't want to get overspray on the rest of the guitar, obviously, because then you got to deal with that. And we don't want to have to deal with that. So that's just a little glue. We're almost there on this guitar, man. It was almost, essentially it was finished. I had the hardware on and I had to take that off. So what I did was, and it looks like we're going to be okay. I've got it all tangled up here. Hold on a sec. There we go. Try to describe to you how I went about doing what I did. You'll notice this piece of tape here that kind of just follows along the bevel right there. So that's my border, because I realized after trying to touch it up with an airbrush, what I was doing was I was going in with an airbrush, which is a really frustrating tool to use if you've never used one. They get clogged up very easily. And I was just trying to do little touch-ups but then I would sand it and buff it, it would come back. Then I finally realized I had to put some product on there, you know, so that I would have the ability to sand back down and buff back out and it would not burn through again. So what I did was I just did similar to doing pinstripes, you know, or doing a flame job. You have very thin tape that you do your outline in, and then you tape up to that tape, if that makes any sense. So I did that, right, and then blocked it off on the back as well. So that way I could add a little color, and then I can put some lacquer in those areas, and what I'll do is wet sand that edge and blend that back down, and be very careful along this side over here, because over here is basically done, over here is basically done. I'm just trying to fix my mistake. And it's a costly mistake because it eats up time. And as you know, time is money. When you're trying to do things to make money, this is about making money. It's also about my love for woodworking and my love for building guitars, but it also has to support itself. You can't just do something for free. And when you're trying to do a business, when you're trying to run a business, of course you'd like to make a little money out of it, because it is a lot of work. I mean, it's fun. It can be fun. It's not always. This isn't fun. When things go wrong, that's not necessarily fun. But you try to use it as a learning experience, right? And I learned a lot trying to fix this. Hopefully everything will work out okay, and we'll get it fixed, and we'll see how it goes. But I think everything's going to be all right. I didn't put too much color on there. I can blend it back down in, and everything will be all right. That's the important part. Everything will be all right. You have to keep telling yourself that. Everything's going to be okay. So, you can see here, let me get you closer again. I'm going to tell you what, I'm just going to move the camera over closer so you can see it. All right, hold on. So you can see right here where I taped off. You see that little thin edge right there? And that's just a real thin edge. And what I can do now is I can take and wet sand that edge back down. And that'll go away. I don't have a lot of orange peel on here, which is great because that means I don't have to sand it a lot, because I just built up basically over here. This was just to kind of protect it and put a little color right here on this edge. But I think I can blend that in. That's my plan. I'm sticking to it. We're going to see how it works out. And I'm hoping everything will work out okay. So that's what I'm doing on this, and I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll do some of the work on camera too. A lot of it though is just going to be boring wet sanding, and you don't need to watch. And I'll just take care of that and speed it up and throw a little bit of that at you on the video. But what I wanted to talk about is some of the projects we have coming up. We got some really cool, sort of a surf style guitar coming up called Surf Killer. Surf Killer. I'm going to move the camera back. So we've got a couple of great builds coming up. We have Patrick Lilla's build coming up, and we have Alan Winnett's build coming up. Alan Winnett is getting and Jason Cale as well, are getting what would be, I guess, our version, kind of jazz mastery looking, Fender Jazz Master kind of style, just slightly modified for our own fun and our own kind of way of looking at that particular guitar. Alan's guitar is going to have a cool kind of a wave and a very cool surfboard themed paint job on it. Looking forward to doing that paint job. That's going to be fun. That's going to be a challenge as well, but I can do that. It's just stripes. I think I can handle some stripes, right? Let's see. Jason Cale's guitar is going to be pretty sweet. Your basic jazz mastery style, but worthit's version of that with two very nice Seth Lover pickups. And both of those guitars, by the way, will have this great bridge, a mastery bridge. Mastery bridges are made right here in America. They're great stainless steel. Their version of the classic Jazz Master vibrato tremolo system. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. That should be coming in the old mailbox here any day now. So we got that coming. Patrick Lilla's guitar is going to be a Celine. We've got a really sweet looking piece of swamp ash. I may have showed it to you. Hold on. Ash. This is going to be a very pretty guitar. It's super lightweight. Nice. It's going to be nice. That's going to be single humbucker. We are doing, I can't remember the names of the pickups right now, but they're very nice Seymour Duncan pickups. That guitar is going to scream. Patrick's a great player. I can't wait to watch him play it, as well as all of them. It's kind of the joy of my life to see these guitars come to life on stage and watch people play them. You know, that's really the cool part about doing this. You watch something that's just kind of hanging around the shop for, you know, a month, 2 months, however long it takes me to do it. It takes me forever, it seems like. And then all of a sudden this thing comes to life and is making music because of the person standing behind it. And you get to hear their, you know, their soul come out through the music. As sappy as that sounds, I mean, that's really what it's about. Okay, so we got that going on. This guitar here, I'm gonna go ahead and work on this area here and try to get it right. We're almost there, man. And we can get, as you can see, we were buffed. We were ready to go. We were ready to put hardware on. Things happen, you know, and although it's very frustrating at the time, and I get really uptight about it when it happens, and I don't know why, because I know by now that things are going to go wrong sometimes. But when you work, you know, a job and you work on something that you put a lot into and things go wrong, and man, you know, just the world nowadays, that things start building up and you're like, and I don't want this place to be that way. This place is my refuge from all of that crap that's going on out there. This is my refuge. I'm not supposed to let this place get to me. So I just had to take a deep breath, let it out, and you know, get on with it. Spray room is working great. We got a couple great builds coming up. I hope you guys stick around and watch them with us. And I'm gonna go ahead and work on this a little bit, and I'll speed it up in the video, and you'll be able to see what's going on, and we'll get it buffed out and we'll get it done, all right? So let me get my stuff together and we'll get going on it, okay? Hang tight. Okay, so I've got some 800 grit to get started with that I'm gonna use to blend this around. And then we will switch to some 1000 to hit this edge over here. I think this will blend this back in, which I don't need a lot of. I just want to blend that edge back in. That's what we're shooting for here. Blend in this edge. Get that color evened out. Basically want to take most of this off around here. Like that. And it'll take a little while. A little bit of work involved. Have to just be patient and work it back down. Can't force it. We want to just get a feather edge of this lacquer. The great thing about lacquer is that it melts into the coat underneath of it when you do lacquer. The coat you put on top of the coat that's there will melt down into it. And the newer two-part finishes don't do that. They sit on top of each other, which makes it a little more difficult to do touch-ups. Unless it's paint, and then paint's not too bad. But this, we don't want to darken this. We didn't want that color that we had to add to get our color here. We don't want it to darken anything. And we don't obviously want to have that line that would have been left if we didn't blend this down. And the 800 grit works great for that. It's got a little grit to it, but it's not really super abrasive. You can do some damage with it, but you just have to pay attention to what you're doing. As you can see, that's already blending back in. See that? That's what we're looking to do. And then we're going to be real careful around these edges right here, because We don't want the same thing we did already to start over again. It's super complicated. You know, I didn't have that problem over here. Don't ask me why I had the problem over here. I just did. I got a little aggressive. There was probably a little dot in the lacquer. There was probably a tiny defect in the lacquer right there. And I got all excited and started rubbing on it. And boom, there you go. All right, that looks good right there. That's blended in that line very nicely. You can still see a little bit of a line right there. We'll just come back and hit that a little. Right along there. And that line just disappears. You really find out once you buff it if you got everything. But you can see it pretty good this way. That's what we're looking for. Still right there. That looks pretty good. So that worked out pretty well. You can't see the edge that was there before, right? We need to do the same thing on the back. I'm going to do that. And then I'll buff it out and let you guys see what it looks like, okay? So hang tight. So last weekend, we got our buffer mounted to the floor. We built this cool, cut the parts out on the CNC, built a cool buffer stand, used some mahogany that wasn't good enough to build guitars out of. So he's always got some big chunks of mahogany laying around, which is very cool. Come in handy. I mounted the buffer and it runs great. You know, you got that long rod. Got a little bit of a bend in it, but that's okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this set up and then let me show you where we're at on the guitar. Hold on. So remember what I showed you before? Okay, now this has been wet sanded. I've blended in all the lines, right? So now I need to buff this area here, and I'll lightly buff this area back here. I went ahead and hit this a little bit with some 1200 grit. We went down to 1200 grit sandpaper. Wet or dry. Look at that thing, man. Wow, pretty guitar. If I could just get past this one spot, and I can, we're gonna get it done. I'm gonna get it done right now because I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time buffing this area. I don't need to. It looks good. All right, so I'm gonna, get the buffing wheels set up, get some good rouge on them, and we'll get that going, and then we'll start doing some buffing. So hold on, let me get that set up, man. This is not cool in a wood shop. Don't want things flapping around and get caught in machines. Load it up. Almost used it all. I've had this for a long time. Trying to use every little bit of it. All right, let's give it a whirl. That looks good. See that blended in nicely. No excess color on there. Everything looks good. Like it. Hit this edge very lightly. Good. Have to be very careful on places like this. You stay too long there, boom, color's gone, lacquer's gone, and you are in repair mode at that point. You do not want to be in repair mode. All right, I think we're gonna be okay. I'll hit it with the light buffer and we're gonna be good to go. So as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your busy life and watching us here at Worth Guitars build these guitars. And we got a bunch of cool builds coming up. This one's gonna be done. We'll probably have it done this weekend. Hope to. We'll get it wired up. We'll get it rocking. We'll get it into man's hands, Mr. Bullard. And we'll, share our next builds with you. We'll show you where we're at as it goes along. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. The subscribe button is right down in here somewhere, I believe. Just slam into that on your way across the coffee table or wherever you may be watching this. I don't suggest you slam into the television if you are doing that, because catastrophic events could occur. So let's not do that. So look, everybody be good to each other out there. Thank you so much for watching. Again, like I said, like and subscribe. I think I said that already. Okay, so now I'm just repeating myself. You guys be good to each other out there. We will see you soon. Get out there and support your bars and bands and your music, your local music, and give those guys some love. We love you guys. We'll see you out there somewhere. Worth Guitars. See you now. Bye.